Well, welcome to the second episode in our podcast about small business. The second podcast we're going to be doing is featuring on a local barista, stroke musician, stroke entrepreneur, Mr. Graeme Richardson. He's been passionate about music for all the time I've known him. Graeme, you've always been passionate about music. What was your inspiration to do this?
The cafe, the venue.
Take us back from when you were a child and so when you were first learning guitar. And
I've loved music, Barry, since I was a kid. I was a geek. I was an 80s rock geek, and all my mates will laugh at that as well. But I got into music early, end of the 70s. About the same era, aren't we? But I remember watching Adam Ant. That's where it goes.
Got to love Adam the Ant.
And I can picture a shopping concert called Lancaster Music, Lancaster Records in concert. And I vividly remember it, getting Kings of the Wild Frontier single. I'm guessing 1980, 81. I remember buying the record, and I've still got it in the house. And that was, my God, Adam Ant, it was the whole showmanship.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, actually. So my first ever single was Stand and Deliver. And then I got the Prince, so there we go.
Oh, sorry, that was the next album, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah. It's I had a few mates at school, got the first one. I was a bit late to the party, I think. Yeah. Maybe my first one was maybe Hazel Dean or something like that, but I don't want to admit. But yes, so sorry, Adam and the Ants.
It was Adam and the Ants, and I can picture it, and I've got the album, the Kings of the Wild Frontier album, and had the poster in. And my dad's obviously just seen him there before, and he'll laugh. I had Adam Ant everywhere, and it was the whole flamboyant showmanship, and that went through my teenage years. And I think they got on a Kiss, so the similar type of front man. And then obviously as you go on, and I just loved I love bands with the front man and that flamboyance and entertainment, really, which is probably what we'll touch on to as we go. But so going back as a kid, and then I got into sort of, it was Adam and the Ants and the Police a little bit, and then rock music come along, you know.
Yeah.
And the Jam a little bit. I got into the Jam, but then I didn't, and I come back to the Jam and the Clash, Stiff Little Fingers later on in life. But my teenage years was heavy metal, 100%.
Right.
Cock rock, as we refer to it these days. And, I don't know whether you saw us in later life dressing up in wigs and makeup. And
I've seen the photos, mate. I've seen the photos.
Band, yeah, for my sins. But yeah, that's where it goes back.
Oh, fantastic. So how old were you when you first started playing guitar then?
It was either my 15th or 16th birthday.
Right.
And I got my guitar. It was from John Gordon, who sadly's just passed away.
Yes.
And John sold us my first black Les Paul copy for £20.
Wow.
On the second-hand shop at Leg Gate on the Crossroads.
Do you remember what make it was?
Oh, God, no.
And there was a few good around about that time.
I remember probably the same as you. I only learned to play the guitar. The action on the guitar was like that. So
egg slicer.
Put us off, and I nearly slipped my fingers open.
Yeah.
By learning to play a chord, and it took us years to even just self-taught. And I would know little licks. I would know. I can play a whole lot of Rosie. So for 6 months, all I played was no. That was it. Till I learned something else.
Absolute class.
But yeah, that's where it comes from, and guitar from, what was that, 1980, 87 or 88, my God, right? And I remember that picture now, going to the shop and seeing John come over, and I used to always talk to John about that when I seen him for a pint.
Brilliant.
But yeah, 1987 or 88.
I think then when you and I met, you'd moved kind of more onto acoustic.
Yeah, I mean, I had an electric guitar as a kid, and I remember I called Neil College, and Neil was a family friend, and Neil gave us this massive 4x12 speaker cabinet and an old Vox, and if I'd kept it, it would have been worth a fortune, and it was a proper old valve.
Yeah.
The valve heads, and it was amazing. I had that in my bedroom, and my mum and dad must have just thought, what the hell is he doing? Because Neil said, bring a little lamp round for him, Sheila, and she brought this out. It was 4.5 foot high.
Were you in a terrace house by any chance?
It was end terrace, yeah.
End terrace, all right. So you're only upset in one.
Absolutely.
I had a similar issue, but I think one of my neighbours was deaf, so it wasn't.
Jackpot, yeah.
It's.
But no, I can picture like the guitar coming at me, crappy over Les Paul, and I could play, like I said before, a whole lot of Rosie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I used to. There was a Def Leppard song with an easy riff, and I used to just keep playing because I could play it well.
Yeah.
And that was all chords and progressions and theory and scales. Good God, no, didn't do that. And it was just, I couldn't play, and I had this like amazing kit. and it was
Yeah.
wasted on us at 16, 17. Oh, I remember a guy called Alwyn next door. I remember he must have just said to my mum and dad, "What the hell is your Graeme doing next door?" Just absolute racket.
All right. So Alwyn, if you're watching, if you're still with us, I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah, I apologise. Yeah,
But
Alwyn Beatty, he was called. Lovely,
all right.
lovely fella. I think he's still around.
Lovely fella to your face.
He was. When he taught me father in the garden. Oh, Graeme, that music's shit, Bob.
No, we've all been there.
I haven't improved that much, to be honest, Barry, over the years. I can still play a whole lot of Rosie badly.
We're taking a bit of a turn from that, aren't we? Because your latest band is obviously Bruce Springsteen.
Brucey boy, yes. Springsteen came along. I've always liked Bruce, but not like in the 80s out here, Born to Run or whatever.
Yeah.
70s when I was a kid, like a real kid. Never appreciated it, you know. And then,
Yeah.
like, I would always if Born to Run, you'd always think, on the rock compilations or albums at the time, you would have it. I never owned a Bruce record, and I think it was Born in the USA. That was the first Bruce record I bought, and that's actually 40 years old this year. That's how old we.
The showmanship was always over Bruce Springsteen, that you were talking about earlier on. So that's
drew us to Bruce at the start, especially in the 80s. There's a big poster up on the wall there when he played at St James's Park, 1985. Wow. Again, I didn't go, but some people out the band have been, and a lot of people who follow us. Yeah, that was like the amazing first meeting with Springsteen, the band. But he'd always been there, and I've never been that bothered about him. To be honest, it was just.
And now you become the Northeast answer to him. So
well, yeah, I wish. A few people call us the Northeast boss, but a bit of an accolade. Definitely not. There's a lot better people out there than what I do, but it's like I love the fact that the band and the sound they have.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like the Phil Spector stuff, that massive sound that they have for these musicians. Yeah. And it started with 5, 6, 7. I think he's got an 18-piece band now.
Wow.
And we've got to try and replicate that in 6 of us, which is hard. But I love it, and I do love being in a Springsteen band. But this only happened because, as you know, that we were in the Dusttown Dogs before. Yeah. When that ended, which came to its natural conclusion, 10 years, did well to get 10 years.
Absolutely.
Going strong after. How many?
16 years this year.
Keep going, but we had everything's got a shelf life, and we had 10 good years. And then this naturally.
You entertained a lot of people with that. It's a lot of people. I think a lot of people. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, a lot of people still miss that. I think.
Banned from the Empire Theatre.
Banned from the Empire Theatre in concert.
We dragged you down with us, didn't we? We're banned. That's it. Some shit.
We're not going to talk about that. Okay, we're just still trying to maintain our reputation. But
there's I remember the Lindisfarne song "We Can Swing Together." They got that house party back in the 70s, and the police came and raided it, and they got locked up. And he wrote a song in the cells called "We Can Swing Together." Yeah. So I'm thinking there should be a song in there about the band from the Empire. Somewhere.
Absolutely class.
But yeah, we did, and it just in the end, I was trying to sneak like Springsteen songs in because start getting into them big style, and but there was quite a lot of like people in the band like no Bruce in this band. And, but when it came to the end, it was like the first thing I thought was, that's done. What can I do? And it just it obviously suits my voice as well, and so then the Any Street Band was born from that.
Oh, fantastic! And so now the White Room Cafe, which is where we are now, and I will just say an absolutely fantastic mocha that I've got here.
Thanks for doing this, Barry.
The second nicest mocha I've ever tasted, because my own daughter is actually a barista at the cafe in Manchester,
you've got to
and she will be watching this. And obviously, Ruby, yours is better, but this is a close. Close second. It's genuinely really nice. It's a really, really genuinely nice. So tell me about the White Room then. What brought you here? Because this is from performing to actually owning your own coffee shop venue. Tell me how we got here.
Just by, it's not lying. It was not planned. It was just by pure chance, Barry. To be honest, and you saw that I'm obviously playing the Springsteen band, and this venue, as you look at it now, where we're sitting now, this was a wall across here, because you wouldn't have been in it, and lots of people who come in haven't been in it previously. And a lad called Paul, lovely lad called Paul, and he had this called the White Room Picture Framing Gallery.
Yes, he used to work at the Frame House in concert, didn't he? Yes.
And he had this for years, built up his business, picture framing, and then he put a little bar in, a little coffee shop in, bars in, a coffee bar type of thing.
Yeah.
and people would come in, get the picture frame, have a cup of coffee. The bar grew, people started coming in. So a couple of the regulars and Paul decided to put musical events on once a month, once every 3 months. And where this wall was here, in the front bit was like where you would come in, there was seats in the table, and it held about 20 people. And the gigs were 20 people.
Yeah.
I think exactly 22 people was to what he had in, and he had them all sitting down, and they came and listened to the music. And I remember I did a solo gig in here, and I did a gig with Louise, who's in the didn't just stand dogs, obviously in the Any Street Band as well. And we do acoustic Springsteen, and we came down. It was just amazing little gig. Everyone just listened to you, and it was like playing your front room. As you can see, most people's sitting rooms can be as big as this, and it was just an amazing atmosphere, and the people just loved you. And it was 20 people, but it was something magical about it. Yeah. And so that is where I got to know about the White Room. And I only found out about the White Room because I went to a Richard Thompson concert with my dad at the Sage a couple of years ago, and I got sat beside a guy called Sam with his wife Annie. Just got talking before a gig like you do. Yeah. And he asking conversation come about musicians, and I explained what I did and stuff. And he went, "Oh, you need to come down to the White Room in Stanley." What's the White Room? Never heard of it. So I was on Facebook, so I Googled it. And I came in for one of the open sessions on an afternoon. Mm-hmm. And that's where I ended up getting a gig here. So if you go back, I'm a firm believer things happen for reasons. Yes. And so if I hadn't went to see Richard Thompson with my dad, and if I hadn't have paid a bit extra to get the front seats and the aisle seats for my dad, I wouldn't have met Sam. I wouldn't have found the White Room. I wouldn't have done a gig here, and I certainly
would not be here now.
Wouldn't have been an owner of a music venue.
I was going to say, so you've gone from performer then to owner. So how did that happen? Because I mean, obviously you've done a lot of gigs in your time. Yeah. You've not like taken over any of those venues to my knowledge. So what happened? What happened here to get you in this position you're in now? It was, like I said before, when I came in, it was just such a lovely place. And I was lucky. I left my job. I hated my job. I've been in social housing for 23 years, I believe. And I just had enough. Cut a long story short with that. And I left that November 2020, I think it was. So that's 3 years gone. That's right, yeah. And I was lucky. I had a year out, and I got a little part-time job working in a prison for my sins. So I worked 1 day a week. Yeah. And a lot of free time. We're just talking before we started recording about too much free time. It's dangerous, I think, as you get on a bit. You need to keep going. You need to keep active. And semi-retirement's good, but when you like work 1 day a week and you have 6 days a week, there's only so much dog walks you can do, and so many Sky Sports you can watch, and I've become lazy. And it was like, this came along out of the blue. And like I said before, me and Louise actually played a gig in here. It was July 2023. Wow. First week of July. And what a great gig. And it was red hot, and we sitting, and I was just sitting having a coffee with Paul, and I just said, "Oh, like, what a great afternoon we had." I said, "Oh, we'll do it again later in the year." And Paul got a little bit upset and said, "Oh, look, just let you know, son," he says, I'm leaving. Ill health and a few other reasons, and I'm leaving. And I'm devastated. I put so much into this. And he said, "I just wish someone could come in, take it over, and make it something that I really want to do." And I just found a trigger, like, just switched in my mind, and I went, "Oh, right." I said, "So anyone interested?" And Paul had said, "Well, a couple of people want to turn into a Botox clinic," which is, I know. Or I think he said a pet shop, but a pet shop just for rabbits. Right. Paul, if you want to correct us, but it was a pet shop we only buy rabbits, but like more of a rabbit breeding thing, which I found quite funny. Yeah. Funny bunnies, that would have been a good one. Well, there you go, mate. Funny bunnies, you've missed out on that. And I said, "Oh, I'd love to do this, Paul." Like, it's, and jokes aside, I did. And Helen will tell you this. I've always had this idea. I played, and like you have, all these venues, and lots of them just don't give a shit about you. Yeah. You go in, there's a little stage in the corner, it's like 2 foot square, and and they just don't engage with you, they don't push your gigs, they don't promote you, they don't speak to you, they don't give you a beer, they don't give you a coffee. You just you're a guitar player, a musician, go in the corner, and and all these things in my head. And so I went home, and Helena says, "I've got 5 minutes, I've got an idea." And she went, "What? How's your gig?" I went, "Oh, the gig was great." I says, "But Paul's leaving the White Room." She went, "I'll just clarify for anyone watching, Helen's his wife." Yeah. Hello, Helen.
And she went, what's your idea? I went, I buy the business off them. I buy the white room, effectively.
Yeah.
And I just turn it into a music venue. And she's like, all right, okay. And I'm going, oh, it's not going to be that much. The business is set up. It's all ready to go. I just need to lick a paint here and there. And it's ready to go. That was in theory. That was on paper.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward a couple of days. I rang Paul. I said, look, don't do anything. I want to come to see you. So I came down and talked figures and talked about what I want to do with it. And basically, I spoke to the landlord, and it was done and dusted without any preparation or any planning in about 2 days after for playing the gig. And Paul was coming out on the 1st of September, was when his sort of tenancy lease ended. So 1st of September, again, fast forwarding it, I came in and got the keys, and then got friends of friends in, and who were contractors, who were builders, who were this, and said, right, this is what I want to do, how much is it going to cost, and so on and so on. And yeah, with an empty bank balance later, and all my pension pot back to zero.
Wow.
Literally, it was...
So you've put a lot in, you've invested a lot financially into this then?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what.
No, that's your business, but...
I had a set figure in mind, you know, and it just went way beyond that. Some of it I had to do, some of it I chose to do, because you know me, Barry, if I do something, if I put a gig on or whatever, it was done properly. Do you know what I mean? Everything, there's no corners cut, you know, so when I come in here, you look around, you see, you know, I wanted to, when a musician or a performer comes in here, you know, they come in as a PA in-house, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
No.
You know, everything is. So everything is, you know, is good stuff that I know works, and what works, and you know as well as I do what works in venues and what doesn't.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I wanted a little stage area, and where you're looking around here, you know, I've knocked sort of walls out, I've knocked cupboards out, and made a stage area, put a PA system in, you know, and where the camera's on behind of the bar here, that wasn't always looking like that. So I've ripped all that out. And again, a coffee machine, I didn't have to put a ridiculous £2,500 coffee machine in.
That always helps.
But I did, because I wanted proper coffee, and you know, we'll come on to the coffee and stuff later. But so I wanted it done properly. So me X amount of pounds that I thought I was going to put in become X amount of pounds.
Right.
I had to get a full rewire done.
We
was quite good.
Presumably you were expecting that, or did you have to cover that, or did the landlord?
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
I did. I didn't have to do what I did, but the electrics weren't up to
what you wanted,
of what I wanted to power a big coffee machine and the coffee grinders, and I did it. In fairness to the landlord, I did get financial help off him.
Right.
So I didn't pay rent for a few months, which was very, very good of him to sort that out.
That is nice. In this current climate as well, that's good of him.
Basically, October, November, September, I had 3 months to get the business ready to start.
Right.
October the 14th, when our first gig in here. And it wasn't ready. It wasn't 100% ready, and it still isn't 100%, but it's work in progress. And I
think you can go on evolving though, can't you? I think, to be fair, it's you know, it's. I mean, looking around, I mean, it's, you know, it is a lovely little venue. It looks classy. I mean, we can see here, it's, you know, posters and everything. It does look good. So yeah, it's, you know, a fantastic venue. Quite scary times. If I can just go on to that a little bit, because I know certainly with the thought of leaving a job, because you said you weren't enjoying your job.
Yeah.
And then you kind of had a break to sort of just, I suppose, reassess your life, decide what was going on. Do you view your sort of venture into entrepreneurship, into business? Was that something you perceive as brave? Was it something that took a lot of courage, or?
I think some may say, "What the effing hell are you doing?" But I think Helen said that on more than one occasion.
Keeping you grounded.
When we came in the week one, when we had a storm, and there was a leak in the back, and the roof come in, and
wow.
You know, you question, what the hell am I doing? But because I'd made that leap, I was in. I couldn't not.
You can't go back, and you've got to make it work.
So, you know, if I was going to think I'm going to throw a couple of £1,000 at this, which was initial plans, and then it's double that, and then there's more, and then you've got to do this, and then you've got to put your fire safety, and you've got to do this. It's like, my God, the list is endless. So, yeah, foolish, brave, foolish, whatever you want to call it. short-sighted a little bit. When I came in, I didn't expect the problems I had.
Right.
Coming in. Again, some of it had to do, some of it I chose to do.
Yeah.
But like I just said there before, once you're in, you're in.
Is it fair to say it was a leap of faith?
God, yes, 100%, yeah.
And I mean, sort of from coming in, seeing you here today, and obviously I followed your Facebook page. You seem really happy with what's going on.
I am now, yes, it's like, I think it's 13 weeks, I think it is.
Is that right?
About 13 weeks from opening.
Yeah.
So, I've said before you heard us talk about last weekend, or 2 weekends ago was the first weekend.
Yeah.
I had the first 2 weeks in January off because nobody, you know yourself, gigging, no one comes out. In the band, I don't gig at all January. Never did in the Town Dogs, never do with the Springsteen band. I'm just thinking of you're asking people to buy tickets or come to see you in Christmas.
Yeah.
Everyone does, but then people you can't keep saying on January come out again. So January was a dead month. So 2 weeks, closed down, recharged my batteries. But you know what? After a week, I was like sort of missing it a bit.
Yeah.
Thinking, I want to come down. So I've just come down. Like silly things. I'd put the coffee machine on. I'd come in. I'd put the heaters on. I'd put the music blasting, and I'd have a couple of cups of coffee because it's like it is top drawer stuff, you know. And so yes, I do love it. But the leap of faith was massive, and I questioned myself, what the hell have I done here? Many a time.
Right.
Hopefully, going forward this year, because I've started when you think, I've got to pinch myself sometimes, and I sometimes get frustrated, like, why is there only 15 tickets sold? This band's awesome and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy called George Shufflin. You heard of George?
Yes.
Amazing blues player. He was on last weekend, and there was 15 advance tickets. 15 to see George. And he had 5 musicians with him. It was like,
right.
I'm watching this, and it was amazing. And I think we had another 6 or 7 paid in the night, which was good. And that always happens.
Yeah.
So I had 20 in, and you look around, 20 people who were into the music, and the atmosphere was lovely. So I got by it, but I was worried that, like, oh my God, I'm going to lose money here. But ultimately I didn't. So I've just got to not worry about it. And you'll probably know me anyway, I tend not to, nothing gets us down really. I don't worry about anything really.
That was where I was planning to go on, but since the conversation's come around to that, because I mean, certainly from my own perspective, with my own business, sometimes it can feel really lonely. If it's, you know, like, so you may be working from an office or, you know, even driving around the country like I do, it can feel pretty lonely at times. You're there with your own thoughts. You get sort of that sort of voice in your head nagging, saying what you're doing, that sort of imposter syndrome, just general loneliness, the sort of like worrying, are you going to get enough business in? Is that something that you relate to, just with you saying just then you generally seem to keep a fairly positive outlook? Do you ever get that other sort of darker side coming in? And
personally, I'm very, very fortunate, Barry. I've never ever had that. Never ever. You always get where you feel shitty and you're down, and you know, like you get like there's all sorts of things. Like when I came in here, you know, when the roof came in, it was like this. But you know what? I've got plenty of people around us, and some of the people that come in, the customers, the volunteers. I'll come to the volunteers soon, but I've got a nucleus of people who used to come into the White Room and help Paul.
Right.
And they've just been amazing. And without them, this wouldn't exist. In the absolutely fantastic.
So great support network. Can you tell us a little bit more about these guys then? Your support.
We've got like on about just touching about being negative and being positive, and I'm always positive on something. You know, if we've had a bad gig, it is hard sometimes. And we've been there, we've done gigs, and you're like, oh God, you get through it, and the other end, and I played in front of 10 people.
Yeah,
I'm still buzzing about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Instead of going, oh God, there's only 10 people, I've trained my mind to go, you know what, 10 people paid in to see us. So it's hard, and it is very hard sometimes to do that and to keep positive. But you've got to, because what's the other option is get into that little dark hole, like you said. And, you know, and I have had times where Helen's going, what are you doing this for? And like, I'm saying, my God. But you know what? I was a bit down last weekend because the ticket sales weren't done. But I thought to myself, come on, Graeme, it's January, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Nobody comes out in January. You know, it was piddling down with rain. It was blowing a gale. And I still had 20-odd people in here, you know.
Which is, class.
The first gig I had was on the 12th of January. And that called Johnny Boyle was on. And I don't know Johnny. Johnny's fantastic. And, you know, Johnny plays pubs for nothing. Johnny doesn't get paid nothing. Johnny gets well paid, but he goes into pubs, he can go and see Johnny for free. So I'm going, are they going to come and pay Johnny? And you know what? Johnny was amazing. He had a full house. I had 60 people in here. So my first weekend in
Right.
I had 60 people in here. Best night I've had.
Just wondering where you put 60 people. That's
Quite that bit there, you can stand up
Yeah.
over this end. So
Right.
And it was bouncing. It was amazing. I'm sitting there going, wow, this is fantastic. And to put it to context, the week before that, Johnny had played the Grey Horse. And I
Right.
think there was 6 people in. Yet 60 people have paid
Yeah.
in to see Johnny Boyle in here. So I'm thinking, people want to come into here, so I've got that. So the positivity, I'm going, so if I only got 20 the next day, that's 80 over 2 days.
Yeah.
That's 40, average of 48. What am I complaining at? So you pinch yourself thinking, come on, Graeme, it's, you know what you've got to be positive, and
Yeah.
you know, otherwise it'll just eat away at you, you know. And it's
that's interesting. Just with you saying one, and I mean, we all know certain venues with a band, you'll maybe fill. Others, you'll struggle to get too many people in.
Yeah.
What is it about this place? What's special about this place then? Why are you getting? Tell me about your customers. What sort of person comes to the White Room? What sort of person will come here rather than go elsewhere
Club.
for a free pub gig? What sort of person comes to this place?
Good question, and I'll tell you maybe it's better in about 6 months. But I think the White Room, and again, going back when Paul had it, he had a nucleus of customers, and the nucleus was retired people.
Right.
Because he had a Wednesday afternoon music club, which I've now took on, and I'm doing that on a Thursday afternoon, because here we are on a Wednesday, and it's obviously not open. So I've moved that to a Thursday. Just it suits me better.
Yeah.
It gives me a little bit of time off. And that was all retired people, 90%, including lots of amazing retired musicians. And it was somewhere for them to hang out and bring the guitars, bring the banjos. I've got an 86, 87-year-old guy who plays the fiddle, comes in, loves it.
Wow.
And it's like on a Thursday afternoon, and I hope he's in tomorrow. And it's just a lovely atmosphere. Come and have a nice coffee. I get fresh scones, fresh cakes. I don't make them. I get them from Sweet Arts and Black Hill. So
Should you be telling people that?
Sweet Arts and Black Hill. Yeah. I don't make a secret of it.
As I say, bakes himself.
And like, you know, if you're going to do it properly, Sweet Arts and Black Hill is amazing. So, you know, they've got a reputation, so I want that in here. So,
Yeah.
you know, you haven't got mass-produced brownies in plastic packets from the cash and carry that they do. It's other, I'm not mentioning them names, but other venues that sound like maybe Toaster or Mark, things that sound like them. You know, nothing wrong with that. People want to do that. But
Yeah, that's it.
it's getting a reputation in here. So if you come into here, you've got this coffee which you've tasted.
It is. I'm not. I'm more of a tea drinker. Good old British tea. But I've got to be honest. That was a lovely mocha. It really was.
The barista's got a lot.
Not as good as Ruby's, but it was superb. It was. It really was lovely.
You know, and Mike, who's been in this morning from a company called Eclectic Coffee.
Yeah.
And when I discovered Mike, and I used to go to the matches with him years ago, and I found out he's a coffee roaster in the old, I don't know whether you knew this, in the English Martyrs School.
Right.
In the old, it's like something of Kess. Those of a certain age who remember Kess.
Yeah.
His
Good old Yorkshire story. Yorkshire
roasting
story.
shop is in the old shower block of the boys' changing rooms at the English Martyrs School. It's the quirkiest, bestest place in the world, and you're going in the shower. And it's like, this is just bizarre, Mike, but amazing. And he's so knowledgeable on coffee, and he's been amazing, Mike. And he's come down. He's helped with the coffee machine. So what I'm getting onto is the coffee is top drawer.
Yeah.
The food is top drawer. I'd like to think the entertainment is, and the environment. So people, I hope, would rather come in here, and I'm targeting maybe a bit more of the maturer crowd.
Yep.
And musicians. Musicians are funny characters, like we know.
We know that. Yeah.
I could talk all day about musicians, you know. But I want them to use this place, and I'm getting musicians coming in for a coffee.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, and I'm getting musicians that I've heard about coming in, and like I'm classing them as like friends now. They're coming in and like amazing people who have like played with the who's who of Northeast and touring musicians. They're coming in having a coffee, they're sitting having a jam, they're sitting singing a song, and it's like, this is great. And it's just, you know, so I want to create a magic in here and an atmosphere that you come in before you had Dr. Feelgood blasting.
Yeah.
And you're coming in, you go to Greg's, you go to the other, you don't get that, you know. And I'd like to think, you know, if you come in for a coffee, there's a guitar in the corner. I go, Barry, give us a song. Do you know what I mean? And it's, it's been different and it's thinking outside the box.
So there is, I mean, you know, there is that USP there, unique selling proposition there. It seems to be working, and I genuinely hope it does for you. So one thing I'm finding interesting, you've gone from the performer to the venue owner. Which is your preference?
Oof.
Because I know you love performing. Yeah, anyone that's seen this guy on stage knows he loves it because he has an amazing time, and that's infectious. That rubs off on the audience, and you know I've seen that many times. I've played on the same stage as you. Your enthusiasm is infectious. You love performing. Even back to your Adam the Ant stage, we can see where that's come from. The showman.
In the bedroom, good cover.
Yeah. But yeah. So you clearly loved that, but there's I don't know, there's a real sort of peace about you now. You're here. So which is your preference, would you say?
I would still say there's something about performing.
Yeah.
To a listening audience, an appreciative audience. And I think, you know, you obviously the same with the Buskers and the Dusttown Dog. We would go into pubs and people wouldn't pay to see us. Obviously we did Empire and we did Christmas gigs where people paid in. Slightly different, but they were there for a party. You know, where people pay in to see you, whether it's in here or whether in the gig, it becomes a different animal when you're doing the tribute type thing. So when I do a Springsteen show, it's something magical about it because they're all there to enjoy Springsteen songs.
Yeah.
And the enthusiasm that I have, that the rest of the band have, is still the same. So, and when you get that crowd and band together, there's something magical about that. So yes, performing, I think we'll still...
That's a winner. Performance is a winner.
I think so, yes.
That's fantastic.
Being a venue owner is something great, but I'm still learning all the time. So it's, but no, I think performing is still outshines that. Yeah,
fantastic. So is this your first venture into entrepreneurship? Because didn't you do?
Love that word, entrepreneurship.
Well, that's it. That's what it's all about small business. It's entrepreneurship. Because I believe you did have a stint as a guitar teacher, didn't you?
Yes, and I did. So when I left work, had the year out, and it was great. And my daughter was 4 years. So my daughter was at an age where going away with Daddy at the time.
Yep.
In the camper van.
You soon changed you from Daddy to Dad.
Oh, you know yourself.
I certainly do, mate.
It was that day. Dad. I went, Daddy. No. From now on, it's Dad. I knew that was the change. So at the time, Nona was like obviously. God, what's that, 4 years? 10 or 11. Lovely age, as you know.
Yeah.
And we would just go in the camper van. So. And we went down to Whitby for 3 or 4 days. I went somewhere else. It was just great. So I had that time off and it was amazing. And always done a little bit of guitar teaching. Just a bit of, like, cash in hand, but a little bit of pocket money, really. And it was just friends of friends. And I did enjoy it. And then after a year, I thought I need to do something a little bit more. So I started advertising and I got a few more in. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed working from home and I enjoyed... I don't know, you do a little bit of it as well, and to see someone who came in, couldn't play anything, to 6-7 weeks later being able to strum 2 or 3 chords in time. Yeah, it's quite. And the feedback I got on that was lovely.
I'll just clear you up. I've not actually done very much of guitar teaching. I was an English teacher, and walking past a music department in a school, I think is enough to put anyone off teaching. It's just the recorder sound and stuff like that. But 3 Blind Mice, it's like, nah, that's not for me. But but no, you obviously did enjoy that.
Yeah, and I did. And again, it was nice when you had someone who could maybe play a little bit, but just you were keeping them right with rhythm and timings and stuff. But ultimately, like, you would get someone coming for 7-8 lessons, and then they would cancel the last lesson at the last minute, and it was maybe a Wednesday afternoon, it was red hot, and you're sitting waiting for them. You've prepared the lesson, and they don't turn up, and then they forget, and then it's 2 hours of your afternoon wasted. And it just, you know, it started like, oh, do I really want to do this? And then an opportunity came along. A friend of mine said, do you want to teach in Franklin Prison? And I said, Franklin Prison? What? So again, 6 months it took to get me clearance and stuff like that. It took them 6 months to check my dodgy past before they
let you in the prison.
Before they allowed us across the door at the prison. But you know what? I go in 1 day a week, teach guitar and music. Really, I've got a little music group within there.
Are you still doing that now?
Still do that on a Tuesday.
All right, fantastic.
So that's why this is achievable, because I'm still part time, and And I do love it. You probably see by my enthusiasm. And going to prison, and yes, there's some naughty people in there, but the people I teach, they sign up for rehabilitation and stuff like that, and they want to do it, and they respect me massively, and I do the same, and it's good.
Yeah,
I've got people in there, lads in the prison who couldn't play anything, and they're playing Nile Rodgers and they're playing rock music. Honest to God,
that's some going.
They were doing, oh, Graeme, can you learn this song? I'm going, what? So I'm going home going, Nile Rodgers. So I'm coming home and I'm playing all the Nile Rodgers stuff, and I get a list every Tuesday of songs that they want to play, because they've come on that much from, like you say, the couple of Neil Young, where they're going, like, what's that called, to doing all this funk stuff. So it's keeping me on my toes, and I do like that.
Brilliant.
But guitar teaching, it was enjoyable, and I've got a few people now who I had to let down a little bit because I couldn't teach them, and I really enjoyed it. And I possibly will do that again, but on a, like, friends of friends basis, but that's it. But so that was the first time working myself, and I just, looking back, how the hell I worked for big corporations.
What's on that then? So working in a job, to not working in a job. What's the biggest difference? Is it something you'd encourage other people to?
100%, yeah. But it took me till I was 50-year-old,
well,
40, 49, whatever it may be, to actually be able to do that and financially say, you know what, I'm pissed off my job. I'm not taking it anymore. Yeah. And to be able to just effectively walk out and walk away from your job and not go back is an amazing feeling. And a couple of my mates who I used to work there did exactly the same. I've got my friend Michael, who did it 6 months after me, and he's now living in Kos, and I go out to see him. I'm going out in May. We've been out to see him twice.
Fantastic.
And he loves life. He gets up 6 o'clock in the morning, takes the dogs for a walk down the beach, comes back, has a couple of hours kip, and that's his siesta, and he's just loving life. And life is about enjoyment, and I
think that's it. I think people do get preoccupied with the financial side of it, and it's like, we need enough money. If only I had more money, we'd be able to do this, that, and the other. But it's like sort of there are two currencies at play, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned about the age that you were, because you get to a point. I mean, the thing is, with you can't buy time. No matter how much money you've got, you can't buy time. And I think as you get older, you start thinking about how you're spending that time. Are you enjoying what you're doing with your time? And there's a lot that's gone into that. So I'm picking up from you that maybe you would agree with that.
I think so. Again, you go back, when I first took the job on, it was, I was working with people, and again, I'm a people person, as you know, and enjoyed it to a degree, but then rules and regulations change as the year, some good, some not so good, but you just think, I don't need that. And to then be able to not be answerable to people that you don't respect. Yeah. And I work with a lot of people, I respected a lot of them, but if I didn't respect them and they had no respect for me, it was like, two magnets going to each other. And it got the stage in the end. I was going to work and I was like,
I think everyone in a job's got a story like that, haven't they?
You're just breathing in. Yeah. I had to be like someone I wasn't at work. Yeah. I'm not like that. And I'm the same in work, out of work, and I try to be like that. You're obviously more professional when you need to be, but it got the stage where I can't do this, can't do it. So to get out of that, and to be honest, I was not in a bad place, but I was really down for 3-4 months afterwards when I left, about how it happened. But once I was over that, I celebrated not being there. And when eventually, obviously when my teaching came along, when I worked at the prison, I was like, wow, I'm a bird released here.
It's a freedom, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a freedom.
And now never, ever Helen thinks I'm a nightmare on a Monday night because it's, my mind's going, I can't sleep in because I'm up early for the prison. I've got to get in early, get through security, to walk. I walked nearly a mile to go where I walk to where I work. Wow. And so it's like you're only going on holiday. Yeah. Excited, thinking, you're waking up 12 o'clock, another 2 hours yet. And I'm waking up every hour. And I'm a night. Helen's like, what are you doing? What time is it? What time is it? It's only 2 o'clock. Go back to bed. Because I'm on edge about that's the only day I've actually got to get up early. Yeah. And I never ever have the alarm on the rest of the day. And on about freedom, if I sleep in 10 minutes, so what? I don't have to drive through Durham or Newcastle in that traffic like a lot of people do. And you're probably the same as when, you know, when you work for yourself, you know, it's incredible to have that freedom to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So
it's privilege, I think, in a way. Privilege.
You said before, would you encourage it? If you financially can do it and you're in a job that you hate, Christ, do it. Life's too short. And, you know, we're talking about, you know, like my dad was on about there, people his age, my dad's a lot older than us, obviously, but you get one chance in life, and here we are, 50-year-old. It's like, how the hell to get to 50? You know, and it's like, you've got to enjoy it. And, you know,
it's scary, isn't it?
You said something before, which was interesting. And whatever you do now, whether you're teaching or your music, the buskers, you know, your buskers nights, this is what second podcast that you're doing. This is amazing, by the way, what you've got set up.
Thank you.
You're loving it.
Yeah.
So you're doing something that when you get up that day, you've got something exciting.
I think that's a crucial thing. It's like when people talk about retirement or they're doing the daily grind, it's, if only could retire, and it's like, sort of, you know, you might. It's a horrible thing. You might not make it. There's no guarantee. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and when you get to our age, let's say obviously we're similar age in our very early 50s. But you've got that thing. It's like, you know, you hear stories about people that maybe aren't lasting as long as we hope they will. And you've got to try and make it count for something. You know, you've got one chance to make an impact.
Totally have, yeah.
And no, so you would certainly, anyone thinking about this, anyone watching this that's thinking about making a leap, then you would.
Constantly, and again, I've always, my mum and dad will tell you, like, and I remember being at school and someone asking, what do you want to do for a living? And I never knew, and it was like, I just want to work for myself. I just don't, I don't like people, like, telling us what to do.
It's a big incentive and a big push, isn't it, if you don't like being told what to do.
With the missus when you've got a day off. I don't know whether you get a list on them. Do you get a list on the morning or not?
No, I'm quite self-motivated in that respect.
So I like get up like it's little things like Helen laughs, but I'll get up and like be a list there for Helen. I'm going, oh God, I'm doing this again. We're laughing about it, but you know, it's like, you know, I like being that flexibility to say, you know what, like, and there's a guy at concert, you know, Matt from Steeltown.
Yes.
And I'll always go and I'll try and get my guitar strings or whatever when I see Matt and me little leads when I break them. And I went and Matt's got a great philosophy, and especially in the summer, when it was hot, Matt will just go, you know what, I'm closing. Yeah. And when I enjoy living in concert, as we know, you know, we don't get that much.
There's not much hot weather.
When we get a hot day or a forecast for that week is hot, that is what we get. So I'm going to take Matt's advice. If it's in this July and August and it's red hot, I'm sorry, people, but I'll be going, you know what, I'm closing for a few days to enjoy the sunshine. And it gives us that flexibility to do it, and why not?
As long as people know what's going on, then I think that's
flexibility to open. Or if you're late, you're late.
Yeah,
and it's so what? It's my time, and you're not going to get wrong for that. And
no,
it's that is the beauty of this, and you know.
No, fantastic. So moving forward, then, what's because you've built up a good working venue. Yeah. I've seen some of your videos on Facebook. I've seen people in here really enjoying themselves. It looks fantastic. We've tasted your coffee, which is brilliant. What's the plan moving forward then? What are your hopes and dreams for this place?
So, a couple of people have asked me what's your plan for that, and again, I think come back the magic of the small venue, intimate venue. Yeah, is what I touched on before when me and Louise played in here, and with a band we've again there's only two you and Barry. You and Tony and the Buskers. So there's 2 years. You can play, and I'm sure you've done it. You can play in someone's kitchen. Yeah. You can play in someone's living room. You can play in whatever. And
I think an actual garage is probably the most. Yeah, literally a garage, working garage.
Was it awesome?
It was fantastic.
Because you stand and people are right beside you.
Yeah.
So the intimate venue is something. And again, we've been lucky with not so much the Dusttown Dogs, although I think if looking back on the Dusttown Dogs, I mentioned them before. We had the Empire Theatre where you did with us. It was amazing. But we also, two things that people talk about are the Empire gig and the Dogs and the Bogs that we played a gig.
Yes.
So I'm infamous. Yeah. Playing in front of 12 people in the toilets at the Pretoria Club, and it's the most watched video we've had. We've done some more gigs than that.
Class.
We did Dogs and the Bogs. And it was, but you know what? It was totally unplugged in a toilet. and it was, so that's probably in my mindset about these intimate gigs. When we did the Springsteen stuff, we've done a little offshot of that, where the little chilled out, relaxed, stripped down versions, so we can play in smaller venues. So stuff like In Here was one of them. There's a place in Tynemouth, we'll go to the Greenhouse, which is fantastic if you're ever up that area. The Surf Cafe, I've done a gig there. And there's a place in the Old Cinema Laundrette in Jalsgate.
Oh, all right, yes.
Which is fantastic. And it's, you play in front of the washing machines. And you're standing there, and literally where I'm standing, where your desk is where people are sitting, just staring at you. Nerve-wracking as hell when I first did it. But the actual play in almost someone's living room, it was pretty magical.
Yeah.
So, it's on about there. What you're on about here, about going forward, this is that intimate venue. And I want a who's who of musicians, local musicians, touring musicians. But what I want, ultimately, is I'm getting a good mix of that.
Yeah.
What I want, what you said there, is to get the bigger acts to find out about this, like the Old Cinema Laundrette and other places, and the intimacy to buy into that.
Yeah.
To come. And I've had, you've heard of Jez Lowe or not?
Yes.
Jez is the sort of biggest name I've had here so far. And this was sold out for Jez. And, you know, what a lovely fellow he was, by the way. And Jez came in here, and he was amazing. And I'm standing here going, this is just fantastic. And the feedback from someone like Jez, who's played all around the world, and he's going to come back hopefully later in this year, which is interesting that he wants to come back, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Because of the atmosphere in the intimate type venue where you're literally right on top of people, you know, and people are sitting around you. So going forward is to attract, you know, Jez Lowe's come. I've got, I call Bob Fox on, who's well up the chain, you know. Can I get Lindisfarne on? Can I get, where do you go?
Yeah.
You know, Sam Fender, if you're going to watch this.
Happy
you know
days.
what I mean? You don't know these things. It's getting bigger names who want a little warm-up to come into here. And I've got some other people who've made in contact, touring musicians, who are coming in, and that's ultimately where I want to be, where they might use this venue as a warm-up when they're passing.
Fantastic. So all in Stanley. All in Stanley.
And this is, people are going, even now, people are coming in going, you've got this is in Stanley.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
something that helps put Stanley on the map. It's
it does, Barry. And going forward on what they go for that, I want other businesses, I want local authorities, I want, you know, other businesses to go, we've got this in and push it. But at the minute, the local authority doesn't seem too bothered with it. The Stanley Town Council is not on board with it. I've had no contact with that, despite making contact with them. And we're all in together, and I'm supporting, you know. We've got a guy called David Johnson across the road, you know, he's making he's turning the old Royal into a pool hall. Concert lad, great lad.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got a concert connection down here. You've got the shop Chrissy next door. We've got a nucleus of people here who are small businesses. You know, the model railway is established over here. So Stanley is getting these great businesses going. You know, other people, you know, need to start taking note of this, because I'd like to think, and I made this comment to someone, and I quite like it. Do you know how you've got the Monopoly board, the Newcastle variation of it? Yeah. You know, I would like if a Stanley Monopoly board come out, can Station Road be the Mayfair? You know,
interesting thought.
Because of this area, there's some great businesses.
That's it.
Investing in here.
And that's, at the end of the day, I think that is what we need in this country to get things going again. Small businesses. So, folks, make sure you support these guys. 100%. Get yourselves down to the White Room Cafe for an amazing coffee. See some really, really great acts. Second best coffee in the Northeast. So there we go. Station Road, Stanley. Get yourselves to the White Room. Graeme, thank you so much for doing this. Cheers.